Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. Yesterday, the Chance Cube and the Golden Dice podcast each released a few more spoilers for Convergence. Just going to go ahead and take a quick look at these. So first up here we have Lor San Tekka, True Believer, Blue Hero, 10 health, 9 or 11 points, so he's actually below the ratio that they've been hitting lately. So you get one more health for one less point, so 9 or 11 for 10 health. Focus, 2 focus, discard, shield, resource, and blank. He's a scavenger character. And as a power action, choose 3 cards from your discard pile. Then an opponent adds one of those cards to your hand and sets the other 2 aside. So you do get the potential to get some cards back. However, your opponent does get to choose which card to give you, and they then set the other 2 aside. So they're obviously going to give you, out of the 3 that you choose, they're going to give you the one that's going to be probably like the least useful. But you do get to choose 3 cards with it, which is nice. So you can bring in 3 cards, and they're going to choose 2 to get rid of. Hopefully, it's kind of interesting because they are getting to choose the card that you keep. So again, they're going to be giving you a card that is going to be potentially the least useful out of the 3 that you chose. So you kind of have to just be careful with which cards you choose there. Um, he's got some decent size for focus, so you got a single focus and a double focus, and then discard resource or shield and resource for a 9 or 11. Not really sure how I feel about that. I think the power action is interesting, but then you are giving your opponents quite a bit of control when you use it because they are choosing the card. So that is Lor San Tekka. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Strong Intuition. 1 resource, Blue Hero Event. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card from your hand. So this is pretty interesting. So you're paying 1, you're getting 3 cards. You're then choosing probably out of your hand the card that is going to be the least useful and getting rid of it. If you have an empty hand and a resource, this will allow you to draw 3. Out of the 3 that you draw, whatever card is going to be the least useful out of those 3 can get discarded. You can also use it if you still have cards in your hand as well. So if you're playing like let's say blue yellow or blue red, and you're blue or not blue, let's say yellow or red with blue, and you have cards, let's say your red character or yellow character gets defeated, and you have cards that are dependent on spotting those color of characters. When you draw those 3, you can discard the card that would say, spot a red character to do this event, or spot a yellow or a red character to do this or that. So you can get rid of that card. Those cards are also, once those kind of characters are dead, they're not really good for anything beside potentially discarding the reroll. So this will allow you to get rid of like a bad card to draw 3. So that is Strong Intuition. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Yoda Spirit. It's a 2 resource hero blue support. It's a Jedi. So I don't know if cards that require Jedi to be spotted can use this, because if it's spotting a character, it might not work because it's not technically a character; it's a support. But it does have the Jedi subtype, so maybe this will potentially work if you have a card that says to play this spot a Jedi, and you have this support in play. Again, so here no blanks on this die. So focus, focus, 2 shield, 2 shield, special, and discard the support from play if you have Yoda in play. So you can't have this out while Yoda is out, but if Yoda gets defeated, you'll be able to have it out, or you'll be able to have it out if you're not running Yoda on your team. Special, shuffle the support into its owner's deck to deal 3 unblockable damage to a character. So it might be out for a while. You maybe focus some dice, get some shields, and then use a special, deal 3 unblockable damage. It shuffles back into the deck. I think the special is really interesting and really thematic. So Yoda Spirit kind of pops up when like when Luke or when basically when Luke is kind of doubting himself. Spoilers for The Last Jedi. Yoda shows up when Luke is kind of in a not such a great situation, like mentally or whatever you want to call it. But he shows up, helps Luke out, and then disappears. So I can imagine that this is kind of thematic in that way, where it's just like, hey, I need some help. And here comes Yoda pops up. Yoda then does his damage, does his thing, goes back into the deck, and the characters are in trouble later. Yoda pops back up. So pretty cool support. Two resources is really good for this because it's no blanks, a lot of good sides. So you get four or three focus sides and two shield sides. So you're going to be able to get quite a bit of stuff out of this, especially in decks that use shields as weapons, like with the like old Qui-Gon or anything that uses like Riposte. Even though that will rotate before this comes or when this comes out, unless they reprint Riposte. But anything that kind of uses shields as like a weapon will be able to benefit from this by getting both the shield sides on this R2, quite a few focus sides, and then the special, which will deal 3 damage and get shuffled back in, so it could be a repeated effect. So that is Yoda Spirit. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Lore Hunter. This is a 1 resource cost blue hero upgrade ability. After you activate the attached character, you may look at the top 2 cards of a player's deck. Discard one of those cards and add the other card to that player's hand. So you can do this to your opponent. You're going to give your opponent a card and discard a card, or you can do it to yourself. So you get to draw a card, or you basically look at the top 2 cards and then discard one of them, and then the other one gets added. So if it'll help you get through your deck faster. So you get to look at 2 cards, choose one to keep, and discard the other, and then it will mill your opponents out a little bit as well. You're milling 1 card and then potentially giving them a card as well. So you could give them a card that will be, discard a card that's going to help them and give them a card that's going to be less effective. For example, again, going back to the spotting a certain color character to play an event. Let's say you're playing a deck with Tactical Mastery, or your opponent is, and you look at their hand, and they have no red characters, and you draw, like, let's say you look at a weapon and Tactical Mastery. If they have no red characters, Tactical Mastery is going to be useless, so you discard the weapon, give them Tactical Mastery. They will then probably just have to use that card to discard the reroll or something like that. So that is Lore Hunter. We're going to move into our next card. And the final card we're going to take a look at today is Ezra Bridger, Resourceful Cut Purse, 8 health, 9 or 12 points, yellow hero character, 1 range damage, 2 range damage, disrupt, discard, resource, and blank. He's a scavenger and a specter, and you may play blue upgrades on this character, ignoring play restrictions. I believe most of the the yellow versions of Ezra allow for that. And you may resolve dice in a player's pool that used to claim the battlefield action this round as if they were in your pool. So that ability is really interesting. So your opponents are going to be maybe less likely to claim the battlefield if you're playing with Ezra, because they know any dice left over in the pool that have anything on them aside blanks. I don't know if you can still manipulate dice in your opponent's pool or not, unless you're playing events that say like turn a die or something like that. But if your opponent, like let's say they roll out, they have a blank and a resource, but they really need the battlefield effect, or they really want to start the game, be first to go in the next round, they may claim the battlefield. With Ezra, you're then able to resolve that 1 resource die as if it were your own, but at the expense of not controlling the battlefield. So that's kind of interesting because your opponents are going to be a little bit more selective of when they actually claim, or they may just not claim the battlefield, knowing that you have the potential to resolve their own dice. I don't think you can. You're going to be able to manipulate or resolve other stuff as long as if you do have events that let you flip dice, you should be able to do that and then resolve those. So again, they're going to be selective as to what dice they leave in their pool, because even if it's on a blank, they might not know. You might have a use the force or anything that lets you turn a die to a high damage side, and then you'll be able to resolve it as if it were your own. So this is an interesting take on Ezra. But that's going to do it for today's video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.